and really have our countries be the best that they can be. And I think that it's hard for a country to be the best that it can be when you have people living in slavery. Instead, we want to take these people and use the gifts and the talents that they have and have them contributing to society, because all of society will be stronger that way.
Yeah,
so I spend a lot of time working with these governments for national and community models of how we can combat human trafficking.
Now tell me, are you, after doing this, how do you feel rewarded after doing, this work? And do you see some changes? How do you feel rewarded after,
Absolutely. There are definitely changes. Oh, it's hours and hours. This is not easy. We're literally talking about, this isn't just a cause. This isn't just an issue. 27 million slaves in the world is a global crisis. It is a global emergency. And really, when you're stepping up and you're literally fighting for these people's freedom, you're saying people are not commodities that you can buy and sell. I don't believe that people were made for the purposes of cheap labor or cheap sex. We're made for something so much more than that.
Yeah.
And so when you're there and you're seeing people go from, oh my goodness, I did not know that this happened, to this cannot happen. I am stepping up, and I might not know the victims personally, but I'm stepping up and I'm doing something about it, because people matter. And lives are meant to live in freedom.
Yeah.
And it's not okay that there are 27 million slaves in the world. We have to do something about it. And so what I see is so rewarding is when you see somebody go from, I had no idea, to really stepping up and saying, I will take on this challenge, and I will do something about it, and I will not tolerate the buying and selling of human beings or the exploitation of human lives, because people matter. And I believe that we can live in a world where modern day slavery has been abolished, where it has ended, and we're living in a world where freedom really means freedom.
Well, tell me, there's so many activists in many different fields, and people are stepping up because they're fighting for a cause or fighting for a certain issue. So if you can also maybe tell our viewers, how could they actually step up and to be an activist and to have that courage and the confidence that you have, even as a young youth, to come and forward to say their opinions or to show that they will be willing to step up for somebody.
Absolutely.
So maybe you could actually give them the first step or lead on how do they become so brave like yourself, Well,
I don't know if I'm so brave, but things that you can do to be part of the movement to re-abolish slavery in our lifetime, in our world today. There are a number of different things, and the first thing that you can do is to not turn your back on the issue any longer. To acknowledge that, yes, there are 27 million people in the world that are in slavery today, and the average age of a victim is 12 to 14 years old. But it doesn't have to be like that. It does not have to be that way. And we often think that we're far removed from these issues, that we live in neighborhoods where this doesn't happen. But we don't. We're not. We're not far removed. So I dare you, when you finish watching this program, I dare you to go on your internet and to type in slaveryfootprint.org. When you go through there will be a number of different questions that you can answer and an inventory that you can take about your own personal life. Where you shop, what kind of food you buy, what kind of food you eat, and the different things that you do in your day-to-day life. The slaveryfootprint.org will calculate that, and it will tell you approximately how many slaves are working for you based on what you buy.
I see.
You see, human trafficking in modern-day slavery is a supply and demand industry. There is a demand for a product or a service provided by somebody who is being exploited, and so therefore there will always be the supply of that person being exploited. And so if we want to actually do something to stop that, we need to cut off the demand, and part of that is using the power that you and I have based on the coffee we drink or the chocolate we buy, and stepping up and saying, I will not buy slave-made products any longer, because you believe that you have a voice and you have a power to do something better with that.
Wow. That's just, food for thought. Imagine
Absolutely.
that.
Literally, food for thought.
Exactly. How would we ever think that in our daily lives, what kind of chocolate or
We're
what kind of coffee?
We're contributing to the problem. Not only are we just stepping back and being bystanders, but based on the things that we eat or the clothes that we wear, we can sometimes, not always, but sometimes and very, very often be part of contributing to the problem. For example, chocolate is one thing. There's a lot of, I love chocolate, and there's a lot of holidays, whether it's Christmas or Valentine's or Easter's, where we eat a lot of chocolate.
Sure.
But documented research has shown that 70 to 75% of all the world's cocoa that's in chocolate comes and was harvested and produced by a country in West Africa called the Ivory Coast. And in that country, about 90% of all plantations are known to use child slave labor.
I see. Wow.
That means that the majority of the world's chocolate that you and I eat, oftentimes it's made by child slaves who are forced to work on these plantations, on these farms, and they don't even know what chocolate looks or tastes like.
Oh, wow.
So if I'm eating a chocolate bar and the wrapper doesn't say fair trade chocolate, it's a really good chance it was actually made by slaves.
I see.
That's
wow.
how not far removed we are.
Right. Say no to that chocolate.
Exactly.
Say no to that
and that's
chocolate.
the power that you and I have
right.
with one simple action like that. We can say, I'm not going to buy slave-made chocolate. I'm going to buy fair trade chocolate instead. Because one simple action like that, if we all do that, if you do that and I do that and the viewers do that, if we all do that, we can actually change the whole situation around chocolate slavery. And that's one action.
That's incredible. And that's just one example of something we can do. Well, let me take a little step away from this and let me get into your gender role here.
Okay.
Do you think, do you title yourself as a feminist?
I title myself as somebody who cares about people.
Okay.
I care about the value and worth and dignity of people. And I don't think that that's something that needs to be divided according to gender. All people are valuable. All people are worth fighting for. And so I stand up for the value of all human beings because that's not something that we can put a price on. That's not something that we can take to use for our own profit or pleasure. And so when I'm standing up as somebody who is a freedom fighter for people's rights and to say that human trafficking ends, it's all people, all nations, all people, all races, both genders, all nationality, any religion. People are meant to live in freedom.
What about in your eyes and in your opinion about Korea as a nation? I'm sure you studied a little bit about Korea before coming here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the state of women's rights here in Korea?
Well, I've been learning a lot about as I've been coming here. I learned a lot before, and I've been learning a lot coming the last few days that I've spent here in Korea. And I think that Korea is a country that is really emerging as a leader, not just in Asia, but amongst the nations, really emerging as a leader. And I think that Korea has the opportunity to step up and say, you know what, not just women's rights, but we value and we need female voices in the world. And we need female voices in our country to be contributing, to be leaders, to be stepping up and saying that there's something that we have to add that needs to be here. So we're not just talking about, equality or, shattering the glass ceiling, but realizing that we can't really reach our wholeness as a society and as individuals unless we have that partnership together. And I think that Korea has